That's a nice collection of board games you got there. Sure would be a shame if they didn't get played.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Game Emporium. My name is Luke and this is Top of the Box. And in this episode of Top of the Box we are looking at some shame. There is some shame happening here. It is the beginning of September and a few people are doing this around about now. Foster Meeple did it not too long ago. There'll be a link to that below. But there's a trend that's happening in board gaming where Shelf of Shame September or Shelf Opportunity September, where we look at the games that we have on our Shelf of Shame or Opportunity, whichever you prefer to put. Opportunity is probably more positive. Shame is, I have a problem. But we're going to have a look at some of the games that I have on my shelf at the moment. According to Board Game Stats, I have gone through that and come up with a list of 40-ish games that it says I have yet to play. Some of them I have discounted from this because they're games that I've gone, I'm not sure I want this anymore. Either they don't have the theme or someone else has them, will play their copy and it's not going to be that much of a thing. I'd rather they go to a winning home. I don't see them being played in this house that frequently. So I'm not too concerned about shifting those on. But for the most part, it's 40-ish games and expansions, particularly, that this is going to be broken down into. So let's start things off by looking at some of the expansions that I am yet to play. First on this list is Canvas Reflections, and as you can see, it's still in its shrink, and we'll probably be casting a little bit of reflection on it. I will probably see that in post. I might do something about it, like put the box cover over it, which will make this whole thing somewhat pointless. Canvas is a game where you are using dual-layered sleeves to just try and stack cards together and make some wonderful artwork. And in Reflections, there is some mirror cards which do some things that I don't know because I haven't opened it up yet. But that is one of the things I got. This was a gift from Ross, and I have yet to crack it open. But it's one that probably should give a go to. Next are a trio of Final Girl expansions. We have Into the Void, The Haunting of Creech Manor, and A Knock at the Door. These three films, or three film boxes. There you go, you can see what's going on there. Yeah, these three films. I really like Final Girl. I got two more of the expansions for my birthday present. I think it was Poltergeist and the Creech Manor and Into the Void, so we've got a chance to put those in, and I picked up this one at UKGE, I believe, back in June. I love Final Girl. It's really easy to get to the table when I have days where I'm on my own and it's just me playing games, so these will probably get picked up at some point to play, but nice and easy ones to deal with. Make some noise. Next one is the Furnace Interbellum expansion. This one has been opened because I want to have a look at the stuff that was in it. Furnace is a really cool engine building game where you're just trying to build out a little engine in the Victorian era. And I think Interbellum adds in some new pieces that gives you components for a fifth player, gives you some more async abilities, some variable capital discs. There's a whole bunch of new stuff, and there's some new agents for 2-player and solo. Really enjoy Furnace. I think it's a really good one. I just like to see what Interbellum is going to add to the mix. Next up is the biggest of the box, and this is actually technically 3 expansions in one. This is the Maglev Maps expansion volume 1, which has in it the mechs and monorails, London and Paris, and Mars and Moon bases map expansions. I really like Maglev Metro. I think it's a really cool little engine builder train game, which is just got some fun stuff that you can do. And I'm looking forward to giving it a go with some of these alternative maps to just shake the game up a little bit, so I'm not just going around New York and Berlin all the time. The next one is a little small one. This is the Rune Saga. So this is what the Tome Saga is to the West Kingdom trilogy. This is the connecting story arc that goes between the entirety of the North Sea trilogy from Garphill Games. So Shipwrights, Raiders, and Explorers. Really like Raiders and North Sea. Quite enjoy Explorers, and I'm waiting to see how Shipwrights Redux comes out and how that looks. Because I think there's I think Shane Phillips said that they were going to put some extra cards into it so that they could be shuffled in with the Rune Saga, so you could develop things a little bit there, so you could continue playing the campaign through there. I like the idea of this, connecting 3 games in a series, so yeah, looking forward to giving the Rune Saga a go at some point. Next one, sticking with games that expand into other things, I guess. This copy of Villainous. This is the Despicable Plots Villainous expansion, which comes with Lady Tremaine, Gaston, and the Horned King. Laura and I really like Villainous. It's one of Laura's favourite games. I really enjoy it. It's in my top 50. And yeah, it's just good fun. Gaston's one of my favourite villains. He's a lot of fun. I just want to see more of this. You know, it's just more Gaston, more stuff. More. I like more. Which is kind of why I like expansions. I've gone for a lot more expansions this year, I think, with my game buying. There has been a lot more expansions coming. There's going to be an expansion in the next, when I go into the next pile, when we go into the actual games, but there's a reason why I haven't included it in this list. And finally, keeping with Garphill Games, we've got the Works of Wonder for Architects of the West Kingdom expansion, the City of Crowns expansion for Paladins of the West Kingdom, and then the Gates of Gold and the Keeper of the Keys expansions for Viscounts of the West Kingdom. I really like all of the West Kingdom games. They are a heck of a lot of fun. And I like being able to add things in. We played with the Age of Artisans expansion for Architects. Laura and I did a stream of that not too long ago. And I really like what that added in. It's just some small things that just freshen the game up and just add more in. And I think that's what Garphill Games are good at with their expansions. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that's really interesting to add into that. So those are the expansion boxes. That is getting a little high, so I'm going to move those out of the way and then we'll go into the main games. Alright, so into the main games. Now there's not going to be a huge amount I can say about these because I haven't played them yet, other than why I might have them in my collection. They're pretty cool, so let's give it a go. So let's start off with Animotion. This is a little game which is all about combining animals and emotions together. I saw this on a video that was recommended by Matthew Jude from various Watch It Played and This Game is Broken and that sort of thing. It seemed like a really intriguing concept, just like a fun little party game where you're just going to be playing some characters down, so like an indecisive eagle, however you would decide it, or an ambitious koala, something like that. So you have to try and act out that emotion, which I think is kind of a nice little, nice little twist on a party game in Motive One. This next one isn't on BGG, but it is something that I regret not having played yet. This is the Avatar Legends role-playing game. So you know us here at Game Emporium, we like a bit of D&D, we like a bit of RPG system. This is the Avatar role-playing game. So The Last Airbender, Legend of Korra, that sort of stuff, it's all mixed in together. Really want to give this a go. I want to see how that system plays in. Laura and I both really like the Last Airbender universe, so chance to play some more of that and getting to explore that world a little bit more in our own image is kind of cool. That's some fun stuff. We need to give that a go. This next one is one of the ones that includes an expansion with it. That is Eco's First Continent and New Horizon. So I do some playtesting with AEG, and every once in a while they say thank you by sending out games. And Ecos is one that I have seen recommended quite a lot. Simultaneous placement game where you're just trying to work with the elements and build out habitats. And there's just some fun stuff here, just building out your own different planet. And New Horizon just brings in new stuff, new animals, new tiles to go onto there, new objective cards. So it was a bit of a no-brainer to try and get all of those together and just sort of put them all together. It's a rather underrated game. I want to give it a go and see how it pans out. So that's one to do in the future. Next, I've talked about this on a previous video on the mid-year review, so check that out, card there. This is the King's Dilemma. Again, still in Shrink, still haven't gone around to playing it, but this is a game that is just a storyline campaign game, branching different storylines, all sorts of things that you can do in it. Given that my main objective things and games that I've done thus far. In fact, there's another one here which I forgot to bring out, which is Pandemic Legacy. The only sort of legacy story games I've done are The Adventures of Robin Hood and My City. They are very different experiences, in my view. I really want to give King's Dilemma and Pandemic Legacy a go at some point. I forgot to bring Pandemic Legacy through into this room, and now I've started, there's no point putting on, so this is what it looks like. There we go. So yeah, that's the storytelling element. We then have Merchant of the Dark Road. This has been played an awful lot. There's a lot of hype around it when it first came out, and I really want to see how this one plays. Rather heathenously of me, I've gone through this at some point, and I put it on upside down, so I can't even read the back of the book. But it's just a merchant worker placement moving game where you're just moving around doing various bits and pieces. I've heard it's really good. I've enjoyed seeing some streamers play it, and I want to give it a go myself. So that will be a try at some point. This one down this side. This next one, excuse the condition of it, but I bought this second hand off someone who did some early viewing of it. This is Orichalcum. Pretty Catala game, and Joanna's groupie. And it's just, I like the theme of this game, which is all about like ancient Greek style, sort of like Atlantis, oracles, and that sort of Greek theming into it. It seems like my sort of game. I just haven't gotten a chance to get to the table, and it is in a bit of a battered situation because this was I think pre-publication copy that someone sold to me. So it's not the original. It's got some this is just a mock-up of the cover that has been stuck onto the top of it, but it looks like a fun game. There you go, it says on the back of it, work in progress, layout not final. So there we go. Something I want to give a go to at some point as well. Then we go into the Stonemaier game that I have not played, and this is Pendulum. So I got this and one of the other games that is coming up, probably the next one. Yeah, well, the next ones, I think. Came in a maths trade, and for some reason, whoever was swapping this had never opened it. It's one of the original printings. This is number 4036 of the original 12,000. So it's a real-time worker placement game where you've got these little sand timers that are flipping over and doing different things. I like the idea of a heavier real-time game. I like the intrigue of that. It seems really interesting. I want to give it a go. And fill in a bit more of the Stonemaier fun, because I like Stonemaier games. Let's put you there for now. Talk about later. Let's see. Oh god, a second. Get too far away. 1 second. Right, this one is Skull Canyon Ski Fest. There's another one that popped up in my list of games I want to play. This has been described to me as Ticket to Ride the skiing game, which I like Ticket to Ride. I like skiing. Seems like a really good match, and I usually quite like Pandasaurus games, the games that Pandasaurus come out with. It looks like fun. It just looks like good fun, going down these different ski routes, and yeah, just having a good time. I love skiing. I haven't been in so long. I want to go. I went before the pandemic was the last time I went. It just looks like fun. I've also got this in a mass trade, and it's been hanging around for a little while, so I really need to get on that. So that's something to pick up at some point and give a go to. Let's see, the next one, if I'm going in alphabetical order, it should have been that one, but I got it wrong. So never mind, let's go with the ones that are easily accessible, and that is Steam Up. This is a game of Dim Sum. Deluxe edition. This arrived as a result of Kickstarter back in June, July-ish. It's got some fun squishy components. It looks really interesting. It looks really neat. You've got like spinning dim sum on a little rotating plate. It looks interesting. Laura and I like dim sum. We like making food. It's really tasty. Got a fly in here. Yeah, really like the idea of dim sum. Need to give it a go. Really like the idea of Steam Up, I should say. And yeah, it's going to be fun. I think it'll be interesting to see how this one plays. So keep an eye out on that one. And then I've got I've got 3 games left that I've stacked up in all the wrong order. And that next one is Wormholes, another Peter McPherson game. I like Peter McPherson games. I've got Tiny Towns and Fit to Print. This is a game where you're just trying to transport passengers around, and you've got various wormholes that you can use to bounce around the board. It's a really fun pick up and deliver system, I think. I've heard it described as, so I want to give it a go. And I usually like Peter McPherson stuff. It's good fun. So want to give this a go and yeah, explore a little bit more. There are too many games. There are too many games. Speaking of too many games, I'm going back to AEG is Rolling Heights. This is a game where you are rolling your rolling your meeples around as a contractor in the 1920s. You're trying to build a city by rolling your meeples, which I think is a really fun little twist on things. You just roll your meeples around and see what happens. You can kind of push your luck in that aspect. As Ross and I have mentioned many times, I like push your luck games. So this seems to be a good combination of a little bit of an engine builder, a little bit of bag builder, a little bit of just meeple rolling and seeing what happens. I really think this is going to be fun to try at some point. So soon, we're going to try and get these played at some point. Next one, a bit of reach, is Sonora. Another Pandasaurus game. This is one that's been suggested quite a few times and it's actually quite hard to get hold of in the UK for some reason. But this is a flick and write game. You are flicking discs across a board and seeing what happens as a result of it. I think it's a really neat concept. I like Crokinole. I like playing Crokinole when I'm at a convention. It's usually the only time I'll play it, so this is probably a good chance for me to play a dexterity game which combines a flip and write or a roll and write or that sort of thing. So it's something that is probably going to appeal to a few of us. So yeah, want to give that a go. And finally, also with an expansion, is Tiny Epic Vikings and Tiny Epic Vikings Ragnarok. I generally like the Tiny Epic series, and I like the Tiny Epic theme, whatever it is going to be. I like Vikings. Vikings are interesting and cool, and it seems like it's that sort of aspect of the Viking world that they do, and you go out and you're just going and pillaging different locations. So yeah, I just like Tiny Epic games generally. There's quite a few good ones. So yeah, that is one to try at some point. And then the expansion adds more things in. Haven't played it yet. Can't tell you what else that's going to add in other than more stuff. That's pretty much it in terms of new games, other than there is a couple of other bits that I can bring out here, like there's a Tokaido expansion, which is the Matsuda, I think, not the Crossroads, it's one of the other ones, that I've had on the shelf for a long time. It's probably the thing that's been on my shelf for shame the longest, and I just haven't got around to playing it. And then there's more games incoming, because my birthday was last month, so I bought myself some games with money and vouchers and stuff that came through from there. So things like, what's off the top of my head, Darwin's Journeys was one of the ones that I bought of that, but I have played that recently. I played it on TTS. And then, yeah, just a few other little bits and pieces. Not Ice Cool, Deep Dive, the AEG and Flatout Games collab, where it's just penguins and a bit of push your luck, so I like penguins. They seem like a pretty cool one to try out. So there's a few different games out there. As I say, there's 40 that have been stacked up around me at various points in this video. The idea is I'm going to try and play as many of them as I can throughout this month, throughout September. So Shelf of Shame September, Shelf of Shame October, Shelf of Opportunity September. See how many of these I get, because we've got some weekends coming up where I'm going to be able to play a bunch of games, like my stag do is coming up, so I'll be able to play some of the bigger games. Hopefully we're going to get like King's Dilemma will get to the table at some point, and maybe Laura will acquiesce to playing some of these smaller games with us, since we're making pretty good progress on my 10x10, less so on Laura's, so we'll see how we go on with that. Until then, let me know what is on your Shelf of Shame. Have you played any of these games that I presented before you? Do you like any of them? Do you dislike any of them? Why do you have that opinion? Do you think I'm going to enjoy them? Let me know. It's always nice to have that little discussion of what's going on. If you have any other suggestions or any things that you'd like me to anything you'd like us to play on the channel, or any just general chit chat, talk to us about games, find us on the Instagram channel, comment down here below. do the like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.